Avinash, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Up.
After the afternoon sessions are difficult, and above that, I can't see the audience, and that makes things very difficult. It seems as if I'm talking to the PC, and yeah, can't. So that is also a kind of distraction, just talking to the PC. And my namaste to all. I'm Dr. Avinash, and whatever I have information I have gathered, learned while working in this crop, I would like to share. And the advanced cultivation practices and improved technologies. I think more focus will be on the improved technologies and what future lies in Proso millet, because cultivation remains the same for most of the millet, and it will be repetition, the kind of soil it requires. But yes, Proso millet has some unique selling propositions that also we will discuss. And without much delay, I'll with this little background, I'll start on Proso millet. Okay, it belongs to Panicum species, Panicum miliaceum. It goes up to 100 centimeters or above even. There are certain region it goes up to 150 centimeters. And about its botanical taxonomy and all, Poaceae family, Graminae family, and adapted to tropical, subtropical, temperate region. It is C4. I could hear that there was some question on C4, and we call these Prosimulate C4, but it has a unique mechanism. It falls under an intermediate type. In Prosimulate, both C3 as well as C4 pathways, they work simultaneously. I think it has some added advantage to switch over. And why, how, these are some of the questions. It has to be unraveled in the due course of time. With the advanced technologies, I think we'll be able to decipher and answer these questions in much detailed way. It has a tetraploid, which makes things more difficult in making process or realizing. We are also not sure whether it will produce significant heterosis to exploit hybridization. But yes, it creates some variation, which is we are exploiting to generate a variation or combining traits between two diverse lines. And it has good protein, and it is derived from using the molecular markers and some molecular studies. It is realized that it is derived from capillary and virgatum species of panicum. So it is some information is repeating here, but the most interesting thing is it can grow up to 2,700. Actually, it is not feet, meters above mean sea level. It is also grown there, and from mean sea level to that altitude, and longitude, latitude wise, it grows in parts of Russia, in the temperate regions, subtropical to even a little bit temperate regions also. It is cultivated from tropics to temperate. So, and elevation altitude from mean sea level, as I told, 2,700 feet. And in Karnataka, it is grown in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. But the area is declining very drastically. The major reason for its decline in area is the yielding ability of these millets, especially Proso millet. And I think Proso millet is less preferred over other millets for consumption as food, where because farmers are having alternatives which are better than Proso millet for food. So that is one thing. And another thing is it is extensively used, cultivated in US, as bird feed. Whereas in China and Japan, another type of Proso millet is there, which is called waxy. It is very sticky. The amylose content is zero almost, and it has 100% amylopectin. It is very sticky. It is used in confectionery and making pasta, vermicellis. Different names are there. Uh, Coming to its origin, it was um, excavated, and the paleobotanical evidences show that it is has some during the Neolithic era. It was cultivated, and on the banks of Shishan River, uh, now the very fertile land of Yangtze. Yangtze was one of the very fertile region in China. So there it was grown. They are the early civilizations where we found proso millet. And why proso millet was grown, maybe there could be many reasons why the early settlers have chosen proso millet to grow proso millet, foxtail millet, and some other small seeded cereals they have chosen, maybe because of the short duration, their ability to grow with less inputs, drought tolerance. Some of these attributes which have attracted the early settlers to collect the seeds and grow them. And as we grow now, as the crops are resurging in the farmers' field, we see that these traits are as I think they were as they were during that period. No systematic improvement as it happened in wheat, rice, maize has happened here. Not much investment has gone. Not much well studied genomes are these. So the yield levels and the way they were then, even now they are the same. With little modification, because most of the diversity might have eroded over the period of time. Um, so intensive cultivation of other cereals and land use pattern have changed drastically. So that is the reason the diversity might have eroded much since then. So you can see proximity is grown across the world. Anywhere, was um, published, and it is you can see how diverse it can be. All its genome, I think, it comes into play when we put in uh, under some selection pressure. So it can grow in Europe, and it has went to Mongolia, from Mongol to Russia, down south. You can see some arrows are even circling Australia, Africa, America. So the green patches are the independent domesticated areas. You can they have come up with, like, there is not a single one, but there are multiple sites of the domestication happened all together at same time. But this chart is a complete uh, domestication chart from 11,000 to 3,000 BCE. So with the advancement of in genetics and sequencing technologies, that has opened all these avenues. Good. Uh, so what we have here is all the diversity in Proso millet. We have collected augmented lines from ICAR, NBPGR, TNAU, and we have seen all kind of variation. Some lines which can mature within 25 days to one which can mature up to 100 days. So that is the kind of variation we exist in Proso millet, and we have witnessed here. We have all those collections with us. working on it. And we are going to use it for betterment of Proso millet. I think every Proso millet researcher should focus on yield primarily, then the other associated traits. Protein content could be the next trait, and the next trait could be anything which is more significant and has more value. So this is the floral biology which we started first. We started with the characterization of germplasm, then floral biology, and we went on doing making crosses, create variability, combining traits, and after combining traits alongside the genetic improvement was the improvement of agronomic practices. As a sole crop, if we have to say like all the general agronomic practices, this is a very compact slide, and it says that most of us are assistant professors. Professors are here, agriculture background, and some entrepreneurs are there, and um, who else? And students are there. What I mean by general agronomic practices means every crop needs good soil, sanitized, okay, and well tilled. These small millets, they are small seeded and have shallow root system. That is the reason we need a very good tilled soil, fertile soil, and irrigation. These are the bare minimum things. But these millets are a little bit hardy. We can get away with giving so much of putting so much of inputs in it. But for a better yield, for a profitable yield, we need to make sure that the soils are better tilled, and they have good aeration and drainage, a little bit of fertility levels, and it comes up very well. And if it is left, it can be a very good. It can be a menace in good fields. Okay, so but as such, when it has to be cultivated for profit, these things should be taken care of. The broadcasting, what improvement can be done in agronomic practices is from broadcasting, it can be sown in lines, basal dose of fertilizer, or adding FYM. These are some of the soil enrichment procedures which can be followed to give to encourage the early establishment of crop and better yielding ability. It is mostly a rain-fed crop. So the sowing windows, they vary from climatic condition of the region. So it is all location specific. In Hyderabad, we saw at onset of monsoon. After the first shower, the soil takes enough moisture, and next we do the sowing so that the rest, even if there is enough moisture for germination, and later on, then the subsequent rains will help in establishing of the crop, and so on. Fertilizer, usually farmers, these are very low value crops sometimes back, and fertilizer, I think nobody applied as such. Urea has become very expensive, so the high value crop receive most of it their attention, and whatever little bit of nitrogen, our soils are low in carbon and nitrogen, so supplements of nitrogen will definitely help, and the requirements are also low. I think 50 kgs of nitrogen is enough. Harvesting is another tricky thing. It is on a bigger plots or bigger fields. It is labor intensive. It is just not harvesting. It has to be threshed, cleaned, dried, okay, for for storage. It has then after it cannot be consumed just like that. It has to be dehulled. So primary processing is required. So all these associated things are not that suited for a fast lifestyle as we have. This is another added disadvantage to this millet, that people have stopped consuming or growing. So when the demand went low, as of course mm, the cultivated area uh, was also reduced. So harvesting, the panicle, the matures at different time, and as the panning, if you wait for complete panicle maturation, it shows shattering. Shallow root system is another constraint here, but the most important lacune of this crop is lower yields. 3 tons per hectare. Any farmer with little irrigation facility would not go for these crops till some value addition is made, till that some valuable thing is taken out, or industrial uses are identified for this crop. Farmers may not go for cultivating Proso millet, but it can be a very good contingent crop. So it can be a very good contingent crop with black gram. So with grams, we have tried in sorghum. It can be a very good crop because the shallow root system and the deep root system of sorghum, and they may not interfere. And this Proso matures within 70 to 80 days, whereas sorghum takes nearly 100 days. So the nutrient uptake and the soil depth at which the moisture and nutrients are extracted by the plant are different. I think it can be a very good crop, a contingent crop, and without much mm, difficulty, these prosomate can be taken up as an intercrop. So, what advances we can think of in agriculture or cultivation is improving the precision. If it is provided the investment, the return on investment should be high. So if the return on investment is high, then the farmer can be is more than happy to invest in his field. So what advances could be possible is automation, use of uh, drones, the GIS mapping system, the sensors for soil moisture, sensors for wind velocity. So all these can be used to make it more uh, technologically abled, mechanized farms can be developed. But how? But and why? Why is a major question, because where it stops is the return on investment should be high. If it is there, then definitely a farmer can grow under these intensification and optimized resources. So these are 23 varieties which are released till date, and they, as since inception, the yielding ability of Proso millet was more or less same, not much variation, or neither it has declined or improved to a greater extent. It remained almost near about 2,500 at max per hectare yield, and this is because of the two things. One is the growing condition. If they are fertile, also millet has potential to yield up to 3 tons, 3.5 tons. Second thing is the crop architecture. It cannot go certain. It cannot become maize. It cannot yield like maize. Maize has very, very, very high uh, potential to yield Proso millet because of its innate crop architecture. Recently, these are the three varieties which are released for all India, and you can see the yielding abilities are nearly about 2 to 2.5 tons per hectare. If a farmer is able to make profit out of this, it is great. And we are here to make it possible to make this crop more remunerative. And either it should go as a premium grains, provided we find out something good in it. We come up with some data stating that eat Proso millet this way and reduce your weight. Eat Proso millet if you are diabetic. Eat Proso millet if you want to build your muscles. So these are some of the things which will make this crop more remunerative and premium. So here is where, apart from yield, these are some of the traits which can be focused. A farmer with even little bit of irrigation facility may not grow Proso millet, but may go for some horticulture crops. So that is the reason if you want the farmer to cultivate, and because why we want the farmer to cultivate, because it is good for health, it is good for farmer, less inputs are required, it is more sustainable crop, it is good for earth, means less inputs, less productivity, but it is good for earth. But it has to be in a very balanced intensification way. Okay, so for seed production, as usual, what normal self-pollinated crops will have the same standards are will apply here. It is in India, all the cultivars are warm, climate adapted, assured rainfall, because somehow all the crop plants they remember the stress what they have underwent, and it reflects in the next subsequent season. So always seed production is taken in a very good soil and fertility and stress less condition. So these are the seed standard production and standards. Proper monitoring should be there to minimize the admixtures, mechanical mixtures, and some of the distinguishing traits in a seed production plot for better identification of types of these, because one or two varieties may the seeds may mix up, but the traits in Proso millet are very very distinct. There are no morphological marker as such, and they are not stable. The colored one are not stable. Everything is green, stem is green, everything. But the other types, the panicle type and the panicle inflorescence type and panicle compactness and the growth habit, these are very very distinct. Even the seed color, seed means the husk color, is very heritable, and but it will be very difficult to pick all the colored seeds in an admixture, but it is easy to pick a wrong panicle in the field. So the inflorescence type and the panicle compactness and growth habit, that is the reason I put these three important traits. Another is pubescence. Most of the all the Proso millet are pubescent, but there is varying degree of their pubescence density. Based on this density, we can identify if there is any admixture is there. We have to remove early stages, um, using the growth habit characteristic, at flowering the inflorescence type, and since it is highly self-pollinated, we can still go for roguing even little bit after the pollination has happened. Anyhow, even if there is a mistake, it will be It will come up in grow out test. USP, unique selling proposition of Proso millet. It can be grown in all the agroecologies. Low input requirement, short duration. By the blink of eye, the crop comes to flowering. Another blink, it is ready for harvest. It has very high protein content. We have identified certain lines which are having very high protein, 17 to 21%. That is on the higher side. At the lower side, we have 14 to 16% at the lower side. So our these lines are now used in further improvement for yield as well as protein content. Apart from protein content, we want to see the fraction of what is there, how this protein is packaged, what are its amino acid composition, so that a quality amino acid profiled protein, enriched protein can be promoted for better remuneration to the farmer. It is gluten free, so all the celiac diseases one can eat. It is very helpful for them. Uh, there are reports that it reduces weight, obesity, very good for type 2 diabetes, and there are even reports which says that it has anti-proliferative properties. So these are some of the recent publications. You can see they have highlighted. It is also claimed that it is having very high radiation use efficiency. Radiation use efficiency is very high. It is good for the climate change. The high temperature, high radiation, where other crops, where the photosystem 1, 2 are very sensitive, uh, and may not be say tolerant to this high radiation, Proso millet can be grown. Um, but radiation, it doesn't mean that it can be grown in the radiation radiation leakage environments. So not that one, but the radiation from the sun. So these are some of the very recent, and even we are seeing that many people are interested in these minor millets. So every fortnight we see one paper coming up in one or the other millet. There are 8 millets we have, and somehow we are a bit slow in processing our like there are so many constraints are there, which also includes administrative and financial funding. So these are the major, or we can also come up with. So there is no dearth of ideas. So just for the sake of what is new, Prosimillet. So 2019, the whole genome sequence was sequenced by Zhao et al. And it has given open avenue for many studies like genome-wide association studies, wherever we need high density markers. Uh, the sequencing has helped a lot. Then transcriptomics, the root studies are made because it is shallow, so I could find that there are the studies made by Chinese group to study how the root system is and how it responds to the saline condition. Okay, so likewise we can study a lot many traits through genomics, map them, tag them, develop, use it in marker assisted selection. And so we in IIMR, we have initiated genomic studies, proteomic study, no, sorry, transcriptomic studies, and still I think we are slow in utilizing these technologies so that we can promote them, so that we can come up with a better understanding of these crops and promote them with more confidence. So we can go up to protein level. As I was telling, it is good in, it is very rich in protein. But as such, apart from the amino acid profile, we did not profile what are the different fractions of um, protein are there. Like recently, we fractionated it. We found that yes, some prolamines are more abundant in Proso millet proteins, grain protein. Prolamines are high, and among that prolamines is our hypothesis is that the delta Z fraction is more. And one or two reports we found published internationally. Yes, the conclusive evidence, if it comes, then it will be complemented with the amino acid profile to establish that yes, the proso millet protein is of good quality. It has better amino acid profile than other cereals. That becomes its USP. And similar way, going next to metabolomics of different tissues, connecting it to physiology, connecting it to uh, its different uh, mechanisms of carbon fixation, sourcings relationship, drought tolerance. These are the various studies which can are very handy with available technologies. Only thing is the funds remain constrained. Once we get enough funding, I think these crops they harbor a lot many important genes for fitness, and if not novel, they can be they can be novel, may not be that profoundly changing other crops, but they could be very novel, very different mechanisms. As we grow them, we see that mechanisms are entirely different. The way of genotypic and phenotypic plasticity these crops have, or these crops show, is very different from the other crops. So, what could be there for the entrepreneurs? What this crop holds in is plant-based protein. They can come up with some economical way of protein extraction or any secondary metabolites. There are reports. I wish that all the participants who are entrepreneurs here go and look for the secondary metabolites which are helpful in anti-proliferative activity or antioxidant activity, diabetes control, different mechanisms. And so if they are able to extract these metabolites or protein economically, and then it is a game changer. It is, and it's 21% protein is not less, and I think it will be cheaper than the other single cell protein. There is one seaweed, spirulina. So yeah, those things are very expensive. If we look in the market, the protein formulations are very expensive. Spirulina tablets are expensive, so we can come up with something uh, which is economical and cheaper, and farmer gets benefited out of it. So it is a holistic method. Entrepreneurs, private players, researchers, all researchers not in compartment coming out open, joining hands. So this makes a complete circle for betterment of everyone. Next comes the value-added products. Like any other millet and grains, we can make a lot of cuisines. In the hills of the foothills of Himalaya and Arunachal Pradesh and those hilly regions, there is one alcoholic drink is made called thongba. It is sometimes it is very strong, maybe because of the cold region, whatever they get, they ferment it, and consume, uh, means it has lot many uses. These are some of the improved and diversified grain used in making value-added products. Thank you, one and all.